All right. So this show just gets better and better. Um so first off, does it surprise anyone that Sophia's into kink? Does it surprise anyone at all? No, no. Maybe the Sophia prior to Arkham, but the Sophia, no, not really. Especially, you know, I mean, she went through all that torture, so obviously that's going to change a person. So she meets with Sal, and it's very interesting that she just waltzes into the kitchen and Sal's in there, and you're like, how far were Sophia and Julian when they were getting it on when Sal was in the kitchen cooking? And he decided to make some Persian recipes that Nadia taught him. And, Sophia pointed out how, oh, I didn't expect you to be a chef. And so he's like, yeah, she wanted me to learn these recipes so I could pass them down. And I'm thinking, normally it's the woman who lives long enough to pass things down. So that's eerie. Like, she knew that Sal was going to outlive her. Very, very bizarre. So he was talking about his family. So he waited while she was trying the food, and I'm just thinking, why are you now? Granted, she is helping Sal by giving him a place to stay and giving him purpose because they both want to kill Oz because, well, Oz, screwed them both over in different ways. I mean, he screwed over Sophia, so she lost 10 years of her life to Arkham. And he literally killed Sal's family. So they both have excellent reasons to hate Oz. But still, she's a Falcone, even though she's given up that name because she hates the Falcones because of what they did to her, which, fair. They did screw her over too, so can't blame them. Can't blame her for that. But he's still a Maroni, and so I'm thinking, why are you vigorously eating while he's watching it? I mean, don't you think that you'd want to, I don't know, have him eat too to ensure that this food isn't poisoned? But that didn't happen. And she just said how Taj was right, it's better with yogurt, and I'm just thinking, yeah, you could say that for Persian food in general. It's a lot of food is meant to go with yogurt. A lot of Middle Eastern food is meant to be with yogurt. That's so Sal has a slight breakdown, which again, duh, he loved his family. Just because Carmine treated his family like pawns, on a chessboard that he could play with, Sal actually gave a crap about his family. He genuinely loved his wife. He genuinely loved his son. As much of an absolute knucklehead as his son was, because I'm pretty sure if he had to rub two brain cells together to get heat, he would die of exposure because he was that stupid. Now, I'm not saying he deserved to die, but smart? No, he definitely was not the brains. And if he's their only child, obviously intelligence skipped a generation. So, and considering they just showed Nadia and Taj, I'm going to say he was his only kid. So he had a slight breakdown, which you can't blame him. But just how he looked at Sophia saying that he wants to pass down these recipes implies that he's basically adopting Sophia as his own. And it was just such a sweet scene between the two of them, like father-daughter, even though they basically adopted each other. She initially, this was just meant as a means to an end, to use him to help her kill Oz. But she seemed to be taken aback upon realizing that Sal actually has emotions and actually is capable of caring about people. And so, there was a lot of that this episode, of her realizing that people are complicated, that most people's families are not hers, that she's realizing in real time just how messed up her family is, minus Alberto, who seems to be the only one who really gave a damn about her, because he visited her in Arkham, and he was the first to die. So, it turns out that, now this is obviously a time jump because the Bliss operation is in full force, and I'm sure Sophia is going to be doubly pissed that not only did he screw her over by basically letting her rot in Arkham, which, granted, he did not know that that's what her father was going to do, but he sure as hell didn't stand up for her. He didn't say, no, she's not the hangman. Even to Eve, he never corrected her. To Victor, he just said, you can't believe everything you hear. But he didn't actually say the words, she's not the hangman. So, and I'm going to stick with the Sophia storyline, then I'm going to go back. So, they're trying to figure out where this operation is going. And, so she and Sal break into Oz's old apartment. He kind of figured that Sal and his goons were going to be after him, so that's why he decided to have Victor take his mom somewhere safe. Why, again, I wouldn't call Crown Point safe. But then again, he doesn't want to leave Gotham. But anyway. So so Sal and Sophia break into the apartment, and I'm actually not surprised that they're giving Clancy Brown a storyline, because you do not cast someone like him in a role only for him to, have a basically cameo, not really do much. So that shouldn't surprise you or anybody. And so they look around, and Sophia knows about his parents his brothers being dead, that they died when they were young. That she gleaned from Oz. She knows nothing about his father. And wouldn't that be a twist if someone on the show turned out to be his father? But anyway. So, and they never do mention, even Oz never talks about his father. I mean, he mentions that the city took them, and he mentions his father briefly, but when he talks specifically about his family, about the boys who died, it's his brothers. He doesn't really talk about his father. So she mentions that, and she mentions that his mom is dead. And I'm trying to think back to the scene when at Alberto's funeral, where he was telling her about his mom and how to bring her back from the brink when his family died, that, put on jazz, go to the jazz club, whatever. But never did he actually say that she was dead. I think Sophia just assumed that. But, so that was a dead end. And then she found the picture of Eve. And Mom is back on death watch. But this time, not necessarily because she's going to die at the hands of Sal or Sophia. My latest theory is that, at least it was until the end of this episode, is that now Frances seems to really like Victor. She's like, oh, what a good boy, and she seems to adore Victor. She seems to, even though Oz is doing everything, I don't think she likes Oz. I mean, she basically treats him as, it's your job to take care of me. And with Victor, because he's not family, she's just appreciative of the fact that he's willing to help out a strange woman. So the dynamic is very, very different. And he even is willing to lie to her to keep her in this fantasy about, like, oh yeah, Jack is working at downtown. He's working on restoring the electricity, which pisses Oz off. I'm not sure if it's because of this relationship that they have, this more loving relationship, or if he really thinks that lying to her is bad. I'm not entirely sure, and my phone is ringing. So, I said I was going to stick with Sophia, but oh well. So, Victor runs into Squid. Squid wants in on whatever Victor's doing, because Victor has these nice sneakers, he's doing well for himself, and he is, he wants in. And so Victor tells, sorry, my voicemail is going off, so I can hear it, and so he's trying to tell Oz what's going on, and Oz is still working on the backup generator and failing massively, because apparently the city is rationing electricity. And of course, they're concentrating on the rich neighborhoods because, of course, they are. This show is very realistic when it comes to things like that. And it's so heartbreaking. So, he's trying to tell him about Squid and the problem that he's having with Squid. And at first I thought that Oz was able to do two things at once. Worry about his mom, who he had just gotten out of the bath, because God knows how long she'd been in there. I had What's Eating Gilbert Grape vibes. And he's like, oh, I should have come come more often to check on you. And I'm thinking, yeah, what the hell, Oz? She has dementia. You are told how she acts, and she'll get confused and walk outside without a coat. Of course you have to keep an eye on her. So, and I'm also thinking, where the hell is Victor in all of this? But, so then she asks him that if her mind if she loses her mind before her body, which she kind of already has, but, she doesn't want to become a drooling idiot. So she told Oz to kill her, which, again, I certainly would prefer that. I wouldn't want to live like that, like a vegetable. So, yeah, that makes sense. And Oz doesn't want to until she keeps bugging him. It's like, okay, I'll do what you ask. And which both tells you, one, she probably bullies him into a lot of stuff, but at the same time, this is something realistic. I mean, of course she doesn't want to live like that. I mean, technically, she wouldn't be aware she's living like that. But at the same time, in her brief moments of lucidity, of course she would, say, I don't want to live like this. And so he's finally like, okay, now I do not think in a million years he's actually going to kill his mother. No matter how bad she is, he just would not be able to bring himself to do it. Which, again, you can't blame him. Yes, that's what she wants, but of course you don't want to lose your mother, even though technically at that point she's not your mother anymore, but still, understandable. So, Victor, who really cares about her, but is also seems to have a good head on his shoulders as to what's happening to her, and understands that she's living more and more in her own world because, she wants to remember the good times when, she had her whole family around her and this and that. And Victor understands it. I don't think Oz does. He even told Victor when he was trying to, for the umpteenth time, to fix the generator, he doesn't quite understand the words that the doctors are saying. So he doesn't understand. He's like, I can't help her if I don't understand what's going on. And I think Victor does understand. At least intuitively, he understands what dementia is and how to deal with a dementia patient. Now, whether he worked with dementia patients before, or like I said, just intuitive, that he just understands that more and more she's starting to live in her own world, and the best thing you can do is meet her in that world because you're not dragging her back to yours. And, so he tells him about Squid. I thought at first that he can multitask, bitch about what's going on with the generator, think about his mom, but also hear Victor when he talks to him about Squid. And so when it's obvious he didn't hear a word, just that Victor has a problem, but he didn't catch what the problem was, Victor decided, never mind, I'll deal with it myself. And I thought, oh no, what's going to end up happening here is not that I thought that Victor was going to end up dying at the hands of Squid, but I thought that it wouldn't go down the way it did. Actually, what Victor was doing was very smart. He went down and he, offered Squid money. He said, we don't have an opening for you right now. I don't know why he didn't just tell Oz that Squid was interested, because he even told Victor that because he was so convinced that Victor wasn't working for Oz, which for some reason, I do not know why he thought that. I mean, Oz appears in Crown Point and he's doing business, and Victor suddenly comes back, yet you don't put two and two together. But then again, I don't think that Squid is the sharpest tool in the shed. But he tried to pay him off. He's like, I'll come next week. I'll give you more money, and we'll see if there's an opening. So Victor was handling it quite well, but Squid decided to be a greedy fuck and, just literally throw money away because he's like, oh, you could do better than that. I mean, I can see why they hate each other. I can see why Victor hates him so much because, he was offering him money. I mean, it might not be a mansion on the hill, but he was getting something. I mean, just take it. It's still probably more than what you're making now. And just, deal with it, and maybe after a week or two, then confront Victor with it. But, so Victor's like, okay, we have to go down. So he starts going down the stairs, and he turns and shoots him in the neck. So he ends up dying, and Victor is freaked out. He's apologizing. He didn't mean to shoot him. And yeah, he was just beside himself at what he did, which you can tell he's a good kid, because if he wasn't, it would make no difference to him. He would have shot him and just walked away. But the fact that he actually cared about what happened. So he goes back and tells Oz what happened. Well, actually, Oz made him because he could see that he was upset. And he tells him, he's like, yeah, I don't think anyone saw me. And Oz gave him a hug and said, it gets easier. Yeah, that should cinch it that he's a psychopath, because no, it shouldn't be easier. It shouldn't get easier. You talk to cops who've shot someone and possibly killed them, and if they're decent human beings, no, that you never get used to that, because you value human life. So either he's implying that Victor is going to become psycho just like Oz, or, or maybe Victor never will get over it. But, like I said, people have suggested he's going to become Victor Zsasz. And let's face it, Zsasz doesn't give a shit about killing people. He happily does it. He thinks he's doing people a favor. So, while this is happening, Sophia visits Eve. Because first she's, asking the streetwalkers, and they assure her that they know nothing. Now, whether that's true is a different story, because, like Eve said, she has the girls back and the girls have her back. So she actually told Roxy to let Sophia know where to find her. So she goes up, and of course Roxy got money out of it. So she goes up, and Eve's like, oh, hey, I was waiting for you. And she's like, didn't recognize me, huh? And then I realized, oh, right, she was, that they met at the Iceberg Lounge. So, she has a gun pointed at her, but, is taken aback at Eve's nonchalance. Normally people see a gun in their face and be like, ah! But Eve knew exactly what was happening, So they have this beautiful, poignant moment, as poignant as you can get for, you know, this type of situation. She sees all of Eve's clothes and mocks her for, playing dress up for her clients. And she kind of points out that, yeah, you're rich. You don't have to do this. You have the power. You have the power. So, yeah, you don't have to play pretend. I still have to do that because I need to get guys to part with their money. And there's only one way for me to do that. So they have this nice conversation where she throws these girls' names into Sophia's face for, because she still thinks that Sophia killed them. After Sophia tried to get, Oz's whereabouts from her. She's like, yeah, I have no idea. Why would he tell me that? Oh, he seems to care about you. You even have a drawer in his house. Like, oh, okay. And then this is the first time she finds out that Sophia's not the hangman, that her father killed those girls, and that she was actually thrown into Arkham for bringing that up to her father because, again, not her smartest moment to let the guy who's doing the killing know that he's killing people. So, I'm sure she's also mad at Oz for being the one to kill her father. She probably wanted to do that herself too. Or was that the Riddler? I can't remember now which one killed him. So they basically bond over how Oz screwed them over. Because she's like, oh yeah, didn't you were Oz's alibi? And she's like, well, I didn't know at first what was going on. And so it still seemed like that she was going to kill Eve. And she's like, fine, kill me, just leave my girls alone. And again, she was touched by the fact that Eve and her girls care about each other so much, that they're so close, that they would die for the others. And this is something Sophia has never experienced. She's never actually experienced someone who'd be willing to go to the mat for her like that. Again, possibly it would have been Alberto, but we'll never know because things went south real quick with that whole thing. So she leaves, and before she does, she admits to her where they are. And when Victor met with Squid, Oz was on the phone with someone just before that. So I really thought that he was supposed to meet Victor, and that Victor was going to introduce him to Squid. Now, maybe I'm naive and, things would have gone south with that relationship. So, because Victor knows Squid better than me. So maybe he knew that bringing him into the operation was really not a good idea. So he met with the Triad and a bunch of other gangsters. And I'm sorry, why did they have to dress the black guy like, kind of like a pimp? It's entirely possible that was one of his roles, but dude. So, Maybe he was, I mean, it was that nice suit and the hat. Anyway, I mean, he looked good, but still. So, and he gives his impassioned speech. The head of the triad pointed out how he screws everyone over, that whoever works with him, and that he has no moral code. And, yeah, I have to agree with him with that. Oz doesn't agree, but then again, of course you don't generally think of yourself as having no morals. So, he convinces everybody that nobody gives a damn about you. You know, he basically gave the same speech Sophia gave to her new family members. So he gave basically the same speech that Sal and Sophia, you know, they're the old guard. You know, look at you, Donnie. Your family built that bridge, but it's not named after you. It's named after the millionaires who took the credit. So he gave this impassioned speech, and even the head of the triad opened his beer. Now, when he first gave those beer cans, I really thought either A, it has bliss in it, and so he wants to get them hooked, so they're more amenable, or it was poison for those who didn't want to go along, or something, that there was some trick in the beer. Maybe I'm watching too many of these types of shows. But anyway, so it turns out that the beer was legit, that he just wanted to give everyone a beer, you know, contrast to the wine that Sal and Sophia had earlier, you know, that's more for the rich, for the high society, and the beer is for the common man. So he gets everyone on his side. He even, to prevent more killings, because Donnie's guys were the ones who got strung up and killed by Sophia and Sal. So, of course, he's less than thrilled with Oz. And Oz, you know, for that reason, Oz was like, you know, drop the bliss off everywhere. Get everyone hooked on the supplies, so then they'll come to us. So it'll be less dangerous for the guys who are dropping it off, because there won't be that middleman between the client and the supply. And so everyone seems to be on board, and all I can think of is Donnie is not thrilled with Oz, and the head of the triad doesn't trust Oz. I mean, everyone looks at him, so he opens the beer can, but I think it was more of a, see, I'm opening it, rather than I'm with you. So I'm thinking that he, possibly Donnie, but he's definitely going to turn on Oz and is going to talk to Sophia and Sal. Now, the lights all of a sudden come on while Victor is relaxing, because Oz told him after he killed Squid to, you know, go home, change clothes, you know, just try to relax, try to, you know, not think about what you did. And suddenly the lights come on and you hear Frances yelling, and at first he thought that it was because that record was on, and she's like, no, keep it. And so then she starts teaching him how to dance jazz. And you can tell that this is a woman who knows how to dance. I really, you know, was hoping that it was going to be that Victor was going to know a little bit. but it was really about her. And you hear, in the meantime, you hear the door open. And of course, Victor and Frances, Oz's mom, don't pay any mind because it was probably Oz. So, why think about it? And at first I thought it was Oz and that Oz would get super pissed at Victor for dancing jazz with his mom because he considers that his, their moment. And like I said, before this ending, I really thought that Oz was going to get pissed off with Victor because Victor was going to be willing to kill Frances. Because Oz will ultimately not be able to do it, which again is understandable, but you can also understand Frances' position. So at first I was thinking, okay, that's where the partnership is going to end. He's going to be willing to kill her, and Oz is going to be super pissed. And like I said, I thought Oz was going to walk in, see them dancing, and possibly that was going to set him off. But it was Sophia just watching this. And you can see the look on her face. Number one, hearing that Oz's mom is still alive, which, again, I don't think Oz even implied that she was dead. He was just, telling her a story. Not that he intended, maybe he did intend to make her think that his whole family was dead. And, just watching Frances and Victor dancing. And so again, she's coming to this realization that even Oz had love. That there's someone who cares about Oz. That it's not just Oz. That he was like raised by wolves or something. So coming to this realization that again, the only family that is totally fucked up is hers. Because there's all these different types of families that she is encountering. So we saw scenes from next week. So it turns out that she kidnaps Victor and Frances. That she doesn't kill them, so at least that. And that she is going to tell, she tells Julian, I'm going to need your help. And she wants Oz to suffer. So I don't know if he's going to torture either Frances or Victor or both. I would think it would be more Frances, because why would you think that Oz cares about Victor? But she will know for a fact that he cares about his mom. So I don't know what they're going to do. Maybe this is how Victor Zsasz starts. Or maybe this is where both Victor and Frances ends up dying. Because this is episode 7. I don't know how many episodes are in the show. I think that they're past midway. So yeah, it could be that they both end up dead. One of them ends up dead. Who knows? But Julian is going to do his thing. And he's going to, I guess, psychologically torture them. Or they do manage to capture Oz. And Oz is just like, I want to know, I don't care what you do to me, where's my mom? So maybe they're going to use Julian on Oz. who knows? And who knows what's going to happen to any of those three. But something tells me none of them are getting out of this unscathed. I still think that it's still possible that at the end Francis gets so demented that Oz will not be able to bring himself to kill her, and Victor does it, and that's how their partnership ends, because that would seriously piss off Oz, even though that was literally her request. But, yeah, that's basically where we're at. Eve managed to survive this, which I was worried about that. But they're really trying to show you that Sophia is laser focused, which would mean more if she didn't kill Calvin at the beginning. So maybe she, she's had a few more days outside of Arkham. She's slowly becoming human again. So now she's laser focused on just going after the people who've harmed her. But they're really showing you that Sophia is not the terrible person that she seemed to be at the beginning. And definitely not the Hangman. So yeah, I'm very interested to see. Now, her relationship with Julian. Obviously, she's using Julian, well, it turns out both sexually and emotionally. But I still don't think she's actually emotionally attached to him. She's just using him to fill a need, both sexually and to get him to do what she wants to, harm the people that she wants him to harm. Let's see if there's any other theories I have. I really think I've covered this episode as much as I can. Wow, I've been talking for almost 43 minutes. Didn't expect that. I believe that is all I have for this video. Ooh. And with that, I will see you guys in the next one.